It's tough, man. I'm looking at Kentai here. I wish it was easier. And it's hard to talk about politics with somebody when you can't even agree on, what the word democracy means, for instance. It's important. It's like the big question in my head right now, the last couple of years. And I think a lot of us, I think for a lot of people, it shook us loose maybe a little bit. I know it was a big deal for me, was sort of seeing what the government was willing to do and what people were willing to do. I want to do an entire video about me, just trying to reconcile my spiritual beliefs with my political beliefs. I'm not quite sure how I feel about it, and I think that is a lot of times what makes a good video is when, you get into something that you're not quite sure how you feel about it, and you're writing to try to work it out. I usually won't start a video unless it's something that I'm really sure about. But this one, I'm not quite sure. I'd like to think of myself as a libertarian, but and then I start talking to libertarians and I realize okay, I'm not, maybe I'm not a libertarian. And that's kind of the basic libertarian premise, is that the only justifiable reason for government is to protect individual rights. And I feel like when we could agree on that, we could get somewhere, but it's tough, man. It's tough out there, Going back to talking about this new video. I tried to do a little bit about this in one of the shorts that I put on TikTok, but this idea that the ego is the snake in the Garden of Eden story really was one of the first things that kind of really got me when I was waking up to all this stuff. And it's such a beautiful way to think about it. And when you think about the problems of the world, it really is this small percentage of the population, in my view, that's got a severe ego problem. And they're kind of messing it up for the rest of us. I feel like we all have an ego problem to some degree or another. But it's a matter of how aware of it are you, and how much are you able to watch your ego and to see the type of thoughts that it gravitates towards, and be able to have some way of conceptualizing how to interact with the ego. Because if you just trust it and assume that it's the good guy, or that it's you, I feel like a lot of times you're going to get trapped. With the ego, I really do feel like the cocoon analogy, it's absolutely perfect. I want to get some pushback if people think that it's maybe not the best way to look at it, but looking at the ego as a cocoon, insect needs a cocoon to become a mature adult. The cocoon is like a necessary part of the development of this being, but it can't stay in the cocoon forever. And that's how I feel about the ego at this point, is that it's a necessary tool to protect you when you're young, but at some point you have to emerge from the cocoon. And I think American culture, or just sort of Western culture at large, has done a terrible job in a lot of ways of incorporating that idea into the sort of philosophical framework. Yeah, exactly. Somebody, Jess, except it crystallizes and then it's difficult to get out. I think that's exactly what's happening with a cocoon that has been left on too long. It does crystallize. It becomes rigid and constrictive. And if you're not aware that this is even a problem, you'll live your whole life, with this crystallized cocoon in your way. It's blocking your view. It won't allow you to truly interface with other people because it's always in the way. And yeah, it's like the great tragedy And that's why I think it's so beautiful, to look at the Garden of Eden story, whether it was written 6,000 years ago or 20,000 years ago. It really is like sort of monumental, kind of perfect analogy of what I think is happening with the ego. I think the snake is such a good way to think about it too, because yeah, I mean, and to some degree, yeah, like you need, like I said, I feel like you need an ego. It's just about our relationship with it. It's like, and if you're stuck in it, I think, yeah, ideally you emerge from the cocoon, but you never forget it. You know, you need to be able to interface with the world if you're going to survive. So, and yeah, like I think there's a tendency to think of the ego as bad and that we need to get rid of it. And, to some degree that's true, but it is also a necessary part of what it means to be human. It's just about our relationship with it. And just like a snake, I like the idea that, a snake is like one-dimensional. It's this narrow thing with no limbs. It's a wild evolutionary decision, I guess. And your ego is the same way. It's one-dimensional. It's like, it's not a person.